support of their brothers, and most times it's the brothers that they give the priority. And now that we have a president who sees that that is a wrong thing for Sierra Leone to happen, and that 52% almost of our population are women. If you subject all of those people in the kitchen and not be educated, definitely it's like subjecting 52% of your people who could be part of national development, who could contribute to the success and the productivity of your country. If you subject them into the kitchen, you are not going to have a developed country. So I believe that girls have been left out. It's not like the boys are not important, but just that girls has been left out for a very long time. And His Excellency believe it is time for us to give the girls priority, not to take over, but to at least be at the same pace with the boys and give the same opportunity. You can't talk about what's the word? I mean, the flagship, His Excellency's flagship on human capital development, and remove girls from school. They have to be part of that because the human capital development is called human. It's not boys capital development. So, and being here and listening to all the girls from around the world, and the girl from Kamara from Sierra Leone talked about the effect that COVID had on education for girls. I am a living witness because throughout the COVID pandemic, the beginning of the COVID pandemic, I went around that country talking to girls, giving them inspiration and make sure they understand the need of being in school, while distributing free sanitary pads. A lot of people thought, that was a waste of time. But for me, it wasn't a waste of time because I believe in education. I believe that we can change Sierra Leone. We are the one who can change Sierra Leone. When you're in a leadership position, it has to be your people first. And I am so pleased that it is people's driven government that His Excellency is working with.
Yeah, definitely. I've been following your campaign with Hands Off Our Girls. I can see you're very much a very active first lady, going and handing out things like sanitary pads, which is something we didn't really have in Sierra Leone, and also speaking to young girls in having the importance of confidence. So the Prime Minister of Somalia, if I'm correct, mentioned that children, girls in particular, build the nation. Hence why education is important. And also your husband, His Excellency, mentioned that before, girls who would be pregnant in Sierra Leone wouldn't be able to attend school. But now there's a new law that has been passed from his speech where girls, who are pregnant can still go to school. How important do you think this is for girls who may have felt like they became a teenage mother and there's no hope and there's no future for them?
It is the part of the radical inclusion, like His Excellency said. He was against it at the beginning, and I was totally against it because I thought it's like contradict what the Hands of Our Girls is all about. But the fact of the matter is, the Hands of Our Girl is really trying to empower girls and trying to give them the direct focus on education and making sure we can fight for them also when it comes to rape issues and early marriage and keep them away from the men if we can. Now, for a girl that is a victim, because that's the question that was posed to me. For a girl that is a victim of rape and then end up becoming pregnant, what do you do with a girl? Are you going to victimize them twice? Are you going to be another person that the girl will remember that this is the person that contributed to my failure? So thinking about all of those girls and knowing the fact that they knowing the pain rape victims go through, or girls that are forced into early marriage that are not ready for that, knowing that pain and seeing that pain in their eyes, I just don't feel like it was okay for another person in leadership position to victimize them twice. And I am so pleased that His Excellency changes his position in giving these girls the opportunity to also be part of, what we're calling the radical inclusion. I am very pleased that they took that decision because then it has given more girls the opportunity. We're not telling the girls go and get yourself pregnant because you'll be able to go to school. No, but at least those girls that are part of that circle where they are victimized to being pregnant, we don't want to be part of it. I mean, another part of the leadership where, the girl will feel like, so who protects me then? Who looks after me? Who cares about me? So I'm happy that we have that. We don't have, I mean, 2,000 girls from the last census, 2,000 girls who become pregnant in the school year went back to school and continued their schooling. We're hoping that that will just drop from 2,000 to 1,000 and then not have any girl at all being pregnant. And that is possible because when the girls are empowered, when the girls are enlightened, and when the girls know they are right, believe you me, I don't think any girl want to be pregnant while they're in school. I went to school too, and pregnancy was the last thing I was thinking about because you just want to finish and then you want a career, you part your career away, you know. So I believe that with more education, with more exposure, with more support for the girls, we will not be counting those girls as statistics because we won't have that.
Thank you so much, First Lady. Is there any last words that you have for the viewers at home in what you hope to achieve here, your aims and objectives from this summit going back to Sierra Leone?
I would love to say to my people that the Hands of Our Girl campaign has been one of the most successful campaign, not only for Sierra Leone but for the world over. And I'm thrilled that people like Alice Albright, who basically is the champion and the head of GPE, Julian Gillard, the chair for GPE. These are all women. Helen Hunt are all women, and they all reference Hands of Our Girls when they talk. Yesterday, when I was with Mrs. Anne, she was talking about Hands of Our Girls, and then you realize that you're not only struggling with all the struggle to go to the riverland areas, to go to the villages, to go to district. You know, it looks like you're just trying to be in people's faces, but you now, every time I go out and with the appointment by the African Union to be the champion for sanitation in Africa, every time I go out, I know that I'm going out for a good reason. I'm not going out because I want to be in people's faces. And I listened to a radio program yesterday. The girl who came second on the MPSC exam said I was one of the people that influenced her to focus and concentrate on her education, and she would really love to meet me. That is such a that it just gives you more courage to do what you're doing and know that people out there appreciate what you do. And I'm looking forward to meeting her, and I'm looking forward to meeting her, mentoring her, and really give her the opportunity to excel as she has excelled in her exam. So, there's a lot of girls who need just that assurance that somebody else is out there looking out for them. And I am glad that they see me as that person.
Thank you so much. Definitely, I would say you're a role model to many young ladies in Sierra Leone. So keep doing the great work for our country. And thank you for joining us here at the Global Education Summit in London 2021. As always, I'm your host, Nabri Bangora, and we are here with the AYV International team.
Thank you. It's a brilliant event. Anything to do with education is actually a super brilliant event. I am very thrilled to be here, and I'm very thrilled that His Excellency gave me the opportunity to accompany him here.
Obviously, you are a global campaigner for Hands of Our Girls, that being in Sierra Leone. How will you describe that campaign so far?
I mean, it's the biggest campaign that has happened in Sierra Leone. It's the Hands of Our Girls for the free quality education. So I'm very pleased to be championing that, and I'm very honored that I've been given that opportunity to.
We all know that countries like Sierra Leone and other African countries, gender parity is very high and inequality is also very high. Likewise, in Sierra Leone, of course. What do you think leaders need to do urgently in order to tackle that inequality, especially for girls?
Well, I think the most important thing for that parity to be to for me, His Excellency is doing that. It's through education. Because if you empower all the men and they are educated, they are exposed, they are enlightened, and you leave the women behind, of course, that is victimization. Now that we have the opportunity to have free quality education in Sierra Leone, now that His Excellency is investing, at least 22% of our GDP into education for not only boys but for boys and girls, I believe that that is the way forward, and my support on that agenda is 110%, and I believe Sierra Leone will definitely see the benefit of free education, and they will see the benefit of allowing girls to be in school.
Just a moment ago, His Excellency was speaking and he echoed about the importance of girls' education nationwide. And also, he stressed that his policy that he introduced for allowing pregnant girls to continue their education despite being pregnant, which was, of course, not possible in Sierra Leone. How vital has that been?
That shows that we have a president that understands his people. We have a president that sees his people not just as subject but as equals. And Madabio has always said, I want girls to be educated. I want girls to be educated. I am not sure whether because he has a lot of girls as daughters, but he had always said girls should be educated because he believed that when a woman is educated, that woman end up making the family a very successful family. So the radical inclusion in allowing pregnant girls, it's not one that you want to, glorify all the time because you don't want the girls to think that it is okay, but when a girl has been victimized, because it's two people that have sex for a one to be pregnant. Now, how on earth will a little girl who become pregnant because they have sex with a boy and the boy is allowed to go to school, and then this girl is now asked to stay out of school because they are pregnant? I think it's in that light that His Excellency sees that if we're talking about equality, if we're talking about inclusion, if we're talking about human capital development, we have to give these girls the opportunity, we have to give them the chance, we have to also make them be part of the new change, which is the new direction in Sierra Leone. And he's doing that perfectly and he's working. We are just a support mechanism, like the Hands of Our Girls. The focus on that is making sure we don't only talk about rape and early marriage, but we also become role models. We give the girls inspiration, we talk to them, we make them believe that being in school is the best place to be, and that is happening. And like when I went to when I during the COVID, we had to go around the country again to give out sanitary pads to girls. And every school I go to, they will tell me this is the second time. Before now, second time, 35% of our girls would have dropped out of school for one reason or the other. And this is the first time since the last 20 whatever years it is after the war. This is the first time 95% of all girls came back to school second time of school year, and that is a huge achievement.
Speaking of those achievements and also the percentage, what can you say to critics who think, yes, a free education is being introduced, but that free education is not quality enough, as you are suggesting, because none of your government or none of the ministers in Sierra Leone has got any of their children in that free education?
Well, I don't know about the minister's children. I don't know about the government children because everybody have your child. You let your child stay where you want them to be. My children were born here, and they started schooling here. And by the time we went back to Sierra Leone, for instance, my son was doing his GCSE. He was already here at the middle of his GCSE. You don't expect me to just take him out and go over there to do GCSE when the curriculum here is what he knows. So I just can't talk about other people's private whatever it is, but all I'm saying is the educational system that His Excellency inherited is the worst that you can think of in Africa. When Sierra Leone was once the atom of Africa, Sierra Leone was the place that every West African country, and even beyond West Africa, used to be proud to say, I was educated in Sierra Leone. By the time His Excellency came to governance in that country, when a university children or university girls or boys, when they write to you a letter, you would think that is a primary school girl or a primary school boy writing a letter. So that is worse. And the compromises that are there in our schooling, where you allow girls to spy, you allow boys to spy, so they don't even focus on their education because they know they're going to have help from their teachers. And all through corruption, because when you collect money from these girls or you collect money from their parents and give them a grade that they don't deserve, you are not only corrupt, but you're destroying a whole nation and you're destroying a child's future. And that all of that His Excellency is tackling. For me, it's better for him to tackle all of these problems and fix them so that we have a good foundation as a nation when it comes to education and go back to where we were as the atom of Africa. And I believe that the critics will be criticizing because of politics. But I know deep down in them, they know 100% that His Excellency is on the right track and His Excellency is doing what he's supposed to do to fix a broken system which he inherited in 2018 is the worst and the most, it's not, he keeps saying they are all fit for purpose. And that's the educational system that he inherited. So fixing that should be everybody's job. Fixing that should be a collective job. Fixing that should be a Sierra Leonean job. And fixing that should be not only the president, but the teachers, the parents, brothers, sisters, everyone supporting each other, everyone helping each other. That is collective job if we want our country to be where it was as the atom of Africa.
And just finally from me, but briefly, being here before or living in the UK before, you know that Sierra Leone is kind of popular for all the negative reasons over the last 3 decades. What do you think, as a government or as a Sierra Leonean, Sierra Leone needs to do in order to change that narrative? And also, in terms of not only the educational wise, but the equality and also corruption, as you mentioned there, still very huge, despite your government or His Excellency President Madhavi trying very hard to tackle that. It is still there. Just a week ago, I was reading an article where, or from the chair of the Anti-Corruption Commission, Ben Kalfala, where he said he warned teachers and principals to be aware that he's heard of corruption, that anywhere they are, they will chase them. What do you think you need to do as a government to make sure that it is eradicated totally?
Well, that is His Excellency's job. I am just the First Lady. The President makes his policies and he implements them. And I know that when it comes to corruption, we all know he's fighting corruption. And I know that when it comes to making sure people do the right thing, the thing is, people talk about corruption, corruption, corruption. Sierra Leone has been infested with corruption so badly that even when you are the one doing the right thing, they come after you. And when you fight corruption, I want you to know corruption comes back to fight you. Because the people who are corrupt, they don't want to change. These are people that have been in that system the last 20 years. They have not just come today because His Excellency is there. They have been in that system for the last 20 years. And they are fighting back because they don't want the change. That change that His Excellency is so craving for Sierra Leone. It's a mindset. Sierra Leoneans need to change their mindset. When we use our money, let us use them for the right purposes. Let us use them as they are supposed to be used. Do you understand? But then you will see this corrupt human being, the most corrupt person, will go on social media or will go on the internet and sit there and talk about what? The First Lady. The First Lady took this, the First Lady took that. And I'm thinking, are you for real? Are you not checking yourself? Or who am I? I'm just a Surinamian. I don't have the power to tell them. I think you should look round, turn round and look at the mirror, and then when you see yourself, then you stop talking about corruption. Do you know? Corruption is in DNA of people. If you don't, you yourself are not ready to stop it. It is difficult. It is a difficult fight. But one thing I can say to you is the fact that His Excellency has done a fabulous job in fighting corruption, and he has been steadfast. He has not moved. The way he wants to fight it. They have said everything. They have talked about everything just to make him stop. And he has refused to stop because if he stopped now, then he has become it. I mean, the whole fight about corruption would be a failure. This is the first time we have a commissioner who fights corruption, who is actually getting results. How much money has Ben Kelfala got back from the corrupt system and the people who have stolen our money? Billions. Because the last time I checked, we've already had over $3 million, I think. I'm not good with all of those statistics, but I think, but these are all corrupt money. you know So we have a system that is working. I have never heard any other government before Madabio who came in and said that this is what we collected through corruption. Never. Instead, those corrupt system are fighting back every day and they don't want anybody to change the system. It has to stay the same way. Well, under Madabio's watch, it's not going to happen.
Thank you very much, First Lady, for your time. I really appreciate your time. Can I just get a few shots? You standing by the side. You can start.
This one that you people are asking me to be doing, I have to go.